I'm going to kick it off with getting to know these two individuals a little bit more. So I'm going to start off with Chaitali. Chaitali is really high energy. I mean, ever since I've met her, she's on the go, run, 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 run. You know, she has a lot of experience in product management. She has a passion for innovative technology in all various sectors. She has extensive knowledge, not only in Agile, but Lean Six Sigma methodologies. And I think her favorite methodology in Agile is probably Scrum, because I've seen her run the team that way and they were always successful. So one of the things that really drive her passion for this field is the fact that she gets to work hand in hand with not just people, but helping people to produce the outcomes that help to enhance the organization. Then our other speaker today is Mo. Mo, I've also known for a while. He's honestly a seasoned retail professional. He has about 30 years of cumulative experience. That means Mo looks a lot younger than what he is, which means he's drinking vampire blood. Well, currently, he
I second
holds
it.
he holds a role of product manager at Walmart Canada. Tatali is blessing the doors of Home Depot. He pretty much has fingers in all sorts of parts of the Walmart organization, everything from human resources to merchandising, legal, compliance, supply chain. And during this COVID time, I think Mo found his real calling, which is to DIY his home. So maybe he'll talk to us a little bit about that. But I want to kind of kick it off to the two of you. Um, Tatali, why product management? How did you start on this journey? How did you get here?
Thank you, Andrea. So yes, I think it started with Walmart Canada when I was working with Walmart Canada, um, getting into different kinds of roles and the exposure I got to working with innovative vendors and on innovative projects. That sparked my urge to be more into product management and development. I did have certain experiences with the product management sector, but it was very purely project oriented versus being able to drive the product on your own. So I got that chance with Walmart Canada, and I started. And you are one of my coaches within Agile to teach me tools and techniques, and I started grooming myself. I started reading about it more, and I finally got myself certified as a PMPO. I'm a safe agilist with PMPO certification now, and that sort of helped me get to the product manager role that I am in today.
Awesome, great. And Mo, what about you? I mean, you've had, as I mentioned in your intro, you've had your fingers everywhere. So, how did you start out, and how did you get to this place that you're in right now?
Yeah, thanks. Well, first off, thanks for that intro. I felt like kind of important there for a few minutes. So, but I'm back to normal now. And just before we get started on the meeting, I just want to say if anybody's watching, and I just got a message here, and I should turn this off. If anybody is watching the Leafs Habs playoff game, don't say anything, don't message anything because I'm PVRing it. And I got to turn off my phone here too. Okay, so how I got here? That's a good question. So I think there's a famous saying with retail is that you don't choose the path or the career of retail. Retail chooses you. So with me, while I was going through university, I was working part-time at the airport in a bookstore. Graduated from Ryerson, and there was that big IT bust where there's like a recession and everything is going and nobody's finding any work. So I continued working at the bookstore and couldn't find any work. And finally got a job in the head office doing desk level 1 support with POS. And that was my gateway into IT in retail. And from there, I just kind of went job to job. 2 years, I kind of, got the fever, started to move, wanted to shake, wanted to learn, wanted to meet, and obviously make more money. Left that bookstore franchise to Susie Shear, Blue Notes. I don't know if you guys heard of that chain. They're not doing that well now though, but at the time they were fine. I did more systems analysis there, point of sale. So starting to become getting a niche in the industry. From there, I started doing some consulting. Needed, thought I'd kind of expand my horizons a little bit more. The industry was kind of booming, and so there's more money to be had as well, more knowledge to be gained. So talking with some mentors along the way, thought that, you know what, let's jump again, start my own consulting. So getting some more knowledge, learning on the fly. Started consulting at Sobeys. Did that for a couple of years. Getting my BA feet really wet. And from Sobeys, I backed into Walmart. Just the opportunity came at the right time. And 13 years later, I've been at Walmart. And like you said, I've been just kind of going through different areas of the organization. Found one that I've kind of liked and stuck with HR and legal. And getting to be a PO was just this natural progression of me being BAs throughout, this course of transitions. And from a BA to a PO now where I am at today, it's just kind of a natural progression.
Awesome, cool. So before we start getting into the nitty gritty and start asking you guys, how can I be a product manager, or what is the path you think I should choose? I'm curious about why this particular role. I find that sometimes people just end up in roles, but for the two of you, what I've discovered is that you generally want to be in this role. So, what is the passion? What is the thing that keeps you going, even though you might face, difficult stakeholders or agile teams that don't understand what they're doing, or, hard deadlines with no budgets? Like, what keeps you going?
I could take that one first. Yeah. That's another good question. So I think that's like one of those things that what helps you get logged in the morning, especially with these days of COVID. I think for me, it's the team, and it's a sense of responsibility that you have towards your team. You know, there's a sense of ownership. You are managing not just your product, but you're managing people as well, and you're managing your stakeholders. So having that sense of responsibility, it just kind of gives me that drive. And for lack of a better word, and it sounded kind of cliche-ish, it's or not, but just having that sense of ownership to kind of say that you own this, you have to get up, you can't call in a day, it's your baby, and that's kind of a driver for me, I would say.
Yeah. On the same note, for me as well, the opportunity to drive something, a product from initiation till the end, and the future, deciding the health and what's going to be of it. Uh, that's something that um, gives me immense pleasure. I guess I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that I feel satisfied with where I am always. I just feel satisfied with everything, because then that sort of drives me to get better, do better. Um, Also, I love talking business strategies. I love uh, discovering new strategies and how retail business works. Um, and that's sort of also, I'm still learning, I would say, but I sort of, that's my driver, that I can decide that this is going to be the strategy that I can take for my product. And that lets me wake up in the morning with all the zest I can, and get on with my day.
Awesome. It's good to hear, two product managers that are passionate about their work. Both of you sound extremely empowered. And I'm bringing that up because it's kind of funny. Ankar and I, we were in a meeting today at work. We just tend to work together. And one of the things that came up was that we have POs and we have product managers, and they're just not empowered. How did the two of you either handle it? Have you been in that situation before? How do you manage that dynamic where someone is micromanaging you and you're trying to bring forth the ROI through the team, but they're not letting you fulfill your full scope of what you can do?
I could. I actually won this week. It's kind of funny, and this is where product management is a reality, right? It's just life. no 2 days are ever the same. You can't really, plan, more than like 50 feet in front of you. But in terms of empowerment, and I kind of just wanted to kind of play on that, Andrew, at first is, for example, going back to my example, last week, I got a ping from a regulatory compliance director to say that, Walmart Canada has enrolled with or has been in partnership with Peel Health to open up 2 vaccination clinics for COVID. And by the way, we're opening this up in a week and a half. So, from a technology standpoint, from a resourcing standpoint, from a location logistics standpoint, obviously, it's a big ship and you had to kind of react and schedule and prioritize and do all that stuff, in a checklist, where you need to kind of coordinate a whole bunch of teams to come to a reality. And it's a hard date that you have to meet. Where the empowerment kind of comes in is that, what you need to do, and the obstacles that you're going to come across, and just, having that freedom. And this is working with individuals, great professionals within Walmart, and then understanding the severity and the urgency of having this kind of a project in this, time of uncertainty to come to pass. We need to kind of react. So hurdles were eliminated, obstacles, challenges were none. Everyone was just ready to help. And that makes your job easier, just being around and working with professionals, that have that sense of ownership and pride. So yeah, that was really great. And, knock on wood, we made both clinics are live and up and going right now. And for those that are Walmart associates, and if you haven't signed up yet, there's a link on the wire for you to sign up for your vaccination. It's open to contract associates, badge associates, for you and your families. So yeah, just get out there and get vaccinated if you haven't.
Maybe I should ask
Sorry for that
Pfizer
part.
or Moderna,
Yeah.
but
And it's a Pfizer. Yes, we're a Pfizer or Moderna shop. That's
That's amazing.
so
Um,
Chitali, what about you? What kind of obstacles have you
Fortunately,
faced?
unfortunately, I have not been micromanaged. But saying that, I guess that's because I believe in getting alignment and expectation setting right at the start. Um, I remember there was one um, project that within Walmart Canada that I did was for recall. And then the first thing that I did spend 2 weeks on with the team, with the business, is to get everything, all the expectations set prior to we actually start the work. So I do believe in a very big preacher of expectation setting. We have to do that at the get go, just so that we understand each other very well. There's no tiffs after, no conflicts. Conflicts occur, still occur, but that can be managed in a way that was decided. So unfortunately, not being micromanaged yet. Saying that, like, yeah, but we've all faced that crux of the situation, knowing what, like Mo said, knowing what you need to do, and get that thing done. I feel that the team plays a big part in it as well. Like your team has to be as driven as you are, to contribute to the cause, and get there. And I, like, just in most case, that everybody was exactly driven or more, I must say, like him, and they got the job done.
I cheated a little bit, right? So I was managing a directive where everyone had that common, buy-in. There's times when you don't have that buy-in.
That you go, yeah.
People could be overworked, people have other priority tasks, budget. So, I was kind of blessed. I was just lucky. And that was the example I just kind of thought of, though. But I could give you other crappy examples if you want.
We've gone through that.
Sorry.
We've gone through that. The crappy
Yeah,
example.
obviously. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
I'm
that's
sure
what the
folks on the
expectation
panel
setting
too, right?
came in,
Everyone's
and
probably
yeah.
got
Don't
something.
worry, I'm sure that's our audience will ask you about your battle scars shortly.
Yeah, there's a
um,
couple in the back. So
That's ours.
so I have another question before we, open it up to the audience, and so they can pick your brain and ask what they need to. I guess for me, my curiosity for me is how much do you interact with your team? I know both of you have experience in Agile and with Scrum Masters and so forth. So I'm curious, how do you see your role on your side of the coin in helping the team to progress with success in an Agile environment?
Go ahead.
Okay. So for me, this is the very first time I'm actually leading and hiring a team. And the experience has been very surreal because I was always on the other side of the I was the interviewee versus the interviewer. So this is very recent. This is what's happening in this week that I'm literally hiring a BA for myself, and I feel bad for them sometimes. I have to say, because they're so nervous and all that. But what my role as a manager is, what I see and what I've learned from my past managers, is making sure you're not the only one who's going forward. If it's achievement, it's everyone's achievement, and everybody gets recognized, everybody gets learnings. If we face a brunt, we face the brunt together. If we get uh, appreciation, we get it together, and it accounts for it, and we cheer for each other. Not just that I did it, it's we did it always. And I'm going in with that mindset that I want someone that I can coach, I can learn from also. And together we can work it out. We spend one third of our literal day, practically 8 hours, with this set of people. They are a work family. So um, having that empathy versus sympathy for them, and also at the same time making sure that uh, you're responsible for their growth, um, and also growing as collectively and individually. That's what I'm going with. Mo.
Yeah, yeah. So first, I want to make a comment. You said earlier on that you feel sorry for the people that you're interviewing.
Yeah, I do.
So I interviewed you
I know.
a year
I didn't
ago.
want to. Yeah.
So
So Mo,
was it that bad? Was I that
can
bad?
we just Mo was my last manager when I left Walmart Canada. Not I left because I got something to grow into, as an
Thank you. Thank you for
opportunity.
clearing that up.
Just clarifying. But Mo, I'm going to say this on record because this is getting recorded. Mo was by far my best manager that I have had.
Oh, wow, thank you. This
I
is being
was his first
recorded, by
recruit.
the way,
It's
I
right?
was his
recorded and
first
you're
recruit.
blushing, so it's okay.
It's hot in here now. It's hot today. Thank you.
Yeah.
So for Mo, for you, so how do you view your position and the things you're responsible for on agile teams, since you're on the other side of the Scrum Master coin?
Yeah, yeah. So for me, on how I kind of just build the team and keep them kind of motivated is like, and it's common practice. I think Chaitali, the the doesn't fall far from the tree, right? We believe in like you have to build that team camaraderie, and for me, I relationship build. I think that's a strong trait or characteristic that you need to have to be successful as a product manager, or in any profession for that matter, right? I mean, we just for this one that you manage people and you manage teams, but I feel that if you build those relationships even outside of work, so we have a there's a WhatsApp group that we put together, and that's where um, the domain started off, and added each associate or team member to this WhatsApp group. And even if you leave and if you move on to bigger pastures like Chitali has or Aditi has, who's on the call here today, you still stay in the group. You're still part of the team. You're still friends. We're a big family. We're just expanding. We're just growing. So we share common funny memes together, and I believe that that's the way that you kind of need to build and kind of harness and grow with a team, is just kind of build those relationships. So that would be my suggestion.
I'd like to add because it's
Yeah.
something I've learned, and I'm going to say this today. I don't know if I've said it before to you, Mo. I've learned that from Mo that he made it personal versus just professional as well. He's made that effort to go that extra mile, wherein outside the office he's been that person who connects with everyone. I know I can give him a call at 3 a.m. in the morning and say, Mo, I'm just pissed at something. And he will respond and he will call. If he cannot call, he cannot pick the call, he will call me back. So that kind of bond, he's made that sure that, I feel comfortable enough that I can do that. So thanks.
It's really getting hot.
Thanks, guys. So now we're going to open it up to questions from the audience. I do have one here in the chat. I see here that you mentioned that the team should be as driven as you are. How do you elevate the team this level? I think you've mentioned a few things, but are there practical, specific things that people that have maybe just starting out as a PO, or they're new in this role, or maybe they've been in the role for a while, that they can maybe do now, especially in the virtual environment that we find ourselves in?
I'm going to take that one because I have an example, and I'm going to steal this one from Chaitali. Is when we talk motivation, and I think one of the things you need to understand by your team members are what drives them, what are their triggers, what are their buttons that you can push in a positive way to drive them, right? And to motivate them. And I don't know if Chitali, if you noticed this or not, but there was a project that I put you on, and I knew you were driven to be a product owner at one time. And instead of me kind of taking that project on the reins and kind of follow through with steps that you need to become, to take that product on, take the stakeholders, get the budget, define the requirements, get your resources aligned, and then walk through the project plan together through all the initiation steps, all the way to production. I kind of wanted to take a step back and I wanted you to kind of play with it. And I saw that, she took ownership of it because she had that drive to become a PO, and she took her sense, that, hey, this is mine. And it helped everybody out at the same time. It freed me up with time, which is always great. It gave Chitali that motivation to kind of say, give that sense of ownership, to say, you know what, I own this, this is mine. And then at the end of the day, she's got a feather on a hat that, this is this project, although we didn't get the budget at the time, but that's not anything to do with Chitali. Everything was packaged perfectly. In fact, better than probably I would have done. So Chitali, good job for that.
Thank you. One of the other things that something that I picked up over here is because I was recruited virtually. I got everything over here. But I don't have the connection with the team that I am right now with, although we've been in the office. But with Home Depot over here, I have not been really, it's just through cameras that we're seeing each other. So what I did is I just, in the broader ecom team, I just put in a half an hour in everyone's calendar, turn by turn. And I just chatted with them about just regularly who they are. And like first 15 minutes is usually what did I do? What did they do? What are they doing? Personal, who's there at, in the family, so on and so forth. And then in the last, and I've mentioned that in their email as well, that if it was any other day, I would just walk to your desk with your favorite beverage. But since it is what it is, I will, we'll take the virtual way. And I just want to know how much and how I can bother you for work. So I just kept it light and casual. But what that did is I now have a better connection with everyone on the team. I'm really looking forward to meeting the team. They're really nice and warm people. But that sort of broke the ice, I think. And I encourage doing that. Don't be shy as to, we are wasting their time or anything like that. Obviously it depends organization to organization, depends on your workload. I still have like a bunch of people I still have to meet online. We do meet in group settings. That doesn't really, some people hold back on thoughts. Some people are very outspoken. You don't know unless you have a one-on-one on them. And I encourage doing one-on-one. It's just better to know the person, I guess.
Cool. So just to set us up, we have a bunch of questions coming in through Slido. We have several questions in the chat. So if anyone wants to speak verbally, I'm going to ask you just hold your horses a little bit and let's see how quickly we can get through some of these questions so we'll have enough time for live Q&A. So the next question I'm going to take from Slido. What certifications will help you to become a product manager?
I'm gonna give that one to Chaitali.
Okay. So did you say qualifications?
Certifications. So
Certification.
yeah,
Oh,
certifications. So what
there,
different types or
yeah,
different ones can you probably take?
there are a bunch of them out there, from Product School, from Scrum Alliance, from Safe Scale Agile. Uh, I did PMPO. I found that better at the time when I was comparing. The only point was that I didn't have to pay for it. My company paid for it. So that was another plus sign for me. Um, so, so saying that there are numerous ways to get certified, and I'll add that you don't really need to get certified if you get the opportunity. Yes, when you have a certification on your resume, it does get the dialogue going faster, or you definitely do get a dialogue for an interview if you're applying for one. But again, if you have done, and you should analyze your, if you've been a BA, if you've done any sort of roles as a PO or we call it proxy PO, in the absence of a PO, or your PO is offshore, whatever the reason or the setting may be, um, I would say that you should add that to your title. That's what I did. Um, I used to, if I did the project as a PO and I was the acting PO on the project, I would put acting product owner. So what happens is, when people are looking at your resume, for certifications or any, the keyword product owner or product manager, you would you would come up, and at least you get a chance um, to put your best foot forward.
Awesome. I think what I'll do is that for everyone that's attended, at the end of our thank you email that we'll send to you, I'll also include some links where you can go ahead and investigate, certifications. And if you want to dig a little bit deeper, feel free to connect with us online on any one of our socials, LinkedIn, YouTube, we're on Instagram, or through the Meetup group chats or anything like that. And we can have a further discussion if you need more direction, and they can connect you with Chatali and Mo. So from our group chat, another question is from a PO's side, what makes a good Scrum Master?
I think.
Watch your answers. Watch your answers.
I know. So yeah, I'll be. I can take that one as well a little bit. Sorry, I'm taking the spotlight here more.
Go
Um, so I'll tell you something that I changed. I think 3 roles within Walmart Canada. The one constant that I had was Andrea on all my teams. So she has literally trained me to be a product owner, and again walk in these shoes. Um, and I have seen her conduct these ceremonies, and the sprint planning, your product refinement, whatever ceremonies, and I sort of imbibe. I would say almost imitate her if I have to, because I think, what would Andrea do? That's my. Um, so yeah, if you have a good Scrum Master that you can imbibe from, that's what I would do. That's what I've done, and that worked for me. Um, but saying that, educate yourself. I would say, if you want to get into Scrum Master, educate yourself. There's a lot of material out there that you can read on, um, and if you want to really want to get certified, do it.
Yeah, I would probably want to add is that they are two different hats, and I don't recommend. And we've been forced, well, at least where with my current position at times, well, currently, to wear both hats, and that doesn't help when you're actually doing these ceremonies, because sometimes you are in the weeds, sometimes you have to get in the weeds as an owner, and that's where you kind of don't you follow yourself into the trenches. Whereas when you're the Scrum Master, you are having to stay at that 50,000 feet and to keep the team up. So it's hard to do this and do this at the same time. In that sense, it's a conflict, right? You're going to have these challenges where you need to wear both hats at times, though. So just keep that in mind and be cognizant. I know, Kola, you're like a pure Scrum Master right now with Walmart, and do you find that there's conversations that you have with POs that and their devs and their BAs, and it goes down in the trenches? Could you imagine kind of doing both? And what would you see as kind of a challenge?
Uh, just when you, the issue is when you wear two hats, some lines start to get blurry because there are different levels of expectation when you're, acting as a Scrum Master. Most people don't always know when you're a Scrum Master and when you're wearing the other hat. It's based off of the conversation or the interactions with whoever it is that you're talking to that you start to switch. But most people don't know you're switching. You're the only one who knows most
Yeah,
likely when you're switching. So it blurs the lines of expectation as to what being a Scrum Master or the other means. But yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely difficult to juggle both and stay true to whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm enjoying the conversation so far.
absolutely.
Yep.
you.
So if I
I
can
feel
just
like
add a
I
little
saw the
bit,
meme, the red pill and the blue pill
if I can
coming
just
up.
add a little bit more to Maureen's question, what makes a good Scrum Master? Um, I see it from both ends because, of my current position, and I'm going to say if there are certain qualities that a Scrum Master must have from a PO's perspective is communication, collaboration, transparency, and partnership. It the PO role or PM role and the Scrum Master role are two sides of the same coin. So being able to have those things naturally, the other things can be taught. But those are a great foundation to building the relation that you need in order to truly guide your team when you're operating in a Scrum Master role and being able to also help the PO in their role. So that's my little 2 cents. All right, we're going to go back to Slido. Um, how can you manage stakeholders in the virtual world, especially in a new role when you're when especially when you're in a new role?
One, promo.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay. So it has been a challenge. I'm going to be honest here with COVID and with just the virtual, meetings. That's just what it is. You can't do a walk up now, and you can't have them walk up, which happens a lot as well, right? You have your product owners will just come, right to your desk, and have that face to face conversation. And that's challenging on both sides that you're not able to do that, because obviously personal interaction is a lot more effective than what we do on a screen here. That's been the biggest challenge. Um, One way that you kind of circumvent that, I've noticed, is that you turn your cameras on. And I know it's not really the thing that people want to kind of hear. If you want to be effective and if you want to be taken serious, and you want to kind of grow professionally, one thing that I have noticed throughout this time with COVID and with working from home, and you'll probably notice this as well. When you're working through day to day, you're for those that are working from home and that are dialing in virtually, you'll see the folks that are turning their cameras on from the ones that aren't turning the cameras on. And at times it's very, very transparent where you can kind of see. So if you want to grow and you want to be taken seriously, and if you want to build those interactions, relations with your stakeholders, with your potential stakeholders in the future, be seen, be effective, and speak.
100% FaceTime helps, definitely. And this is something that I'm going through right now, so I can really relate to this question. I the What helped is I got good KT or knowledge transfer from the previous person who's transferring the portfolio to me. Um, sort of get an understanding on who your stakeholders are, and uh, just helps manage who can influence the product more or the business more, versus who can. I know it sounds very very bookish, but it really helps for you to channel your way of communicating to who you're communicating with on the other side. um, yes, and FaceTime definitely helps. I am not usually this dolled up, but it doesn't matter. In today's world, I think the expectation to get the work done is more taking more weightage than how you look right now. So we'll have kids coming in sometimes because everybody knows everything is virtual, so that's really unavoidable. So keeping those things aside, those um, issues or difficulties that we're dealing with in the virtual world just aside, FaceTime is fine. um, doesn't matter what you're looking like, with makeup, without makeup, with filter, no filter, doesn't matter. um, just that, and it just helps relating. It feels real in the virtual world, I would say.
Awesome. Thank you. There's a question that several people have asked, but I'm going to leave that for a second. So here's a really quick one. So in 30 seconds, I want you to be able to answer the next question. What would your dream role be within the IT domain if you were not a PO, and why? So Chaitali, 30 seconds.
uh, Director.
Go for the gusto. And Mo, for you?
Sorry, sorry, was the question then I'm not in the IT world or I'm not in
No,
the
within the IT world,
Within the
but
IT
not
world,
being a PO.
not being
What
Okay,
would
PO.
yeah.
you choose and why?
CIO.
He's one step ahead.
As you
And
can see, they don't have small dreams, guys. All
I'm
right,
getting
rolling
a
on.
realistic one because I've
that
just
is
become
realistic.
product
No,
very,
you
yeah.
can become a director. That's easy. That's just 2 more levels.
Yeah.
You got it. Got it.
That's why if I was not, I was going to say senior PO.
You guys are hilarious. All right, here's another question for you. If you were a new product manager, what kind of support would you be looking for from your Scrum Master and your Scrum team within the first 90 days?
Yeah. So um, I think the first thing is you'd want them to, let you know who are your stakeholders and what are their personality traits. Get to know who they are, who you're working with, and the Scrum Master. Other than the previous PO, the Scrum Master is definitely going to know who, all the players are, the stakeholders, the developers, the BAs, the QA. They're actually the hub. So if you can befriend your Scrum Master, if you're new to that role, they can be your best friend and they could help you become very successful and really shrink your runway to getting onboarded.
So
That's
you're looking for the team and the Scrum Master really partner with you, pass on that knowledge, give you like the lay of the land type of thing.
if they're an effective Scrum Master, they should be able to do that. Yeah, and very
Okay.
easy, I would want to say, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah. Sorry, Mo, did I cut you?
No, no. I said, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So currently, the way this Home Depot setup is, IT and product is separate, um, versus Walmart Canada was a little different. So the Scrum Master is really the the lead, I would say, for dev or effective or project manager, I would say, over here. And what I got from my Scrum Master over here, I've been assigned one, and I have a dev team, is to understand what the dev team does, how they do it, how are they looking to, what's their work culture like. Uh, that's something that I got, and I've got pushbacks on scope from Scrum Master versus the dev team. So he's basically the wall in between, that, with a door, but it you need permission to go either way, and he's really the gatekeeper for, um, he or she, I should say, he or she is really the gatekeeper over here that makes sure that everything is aligned on the product side. If there's a dependency for me to clarify a few things, they will make sure that those open items are um, are make sure that information passes from this side of the world to that side of the world, and vice versa. So that's a very important role of a scrum master here. Yes, and I do agree with Mo that if you have a very effective scrum master, you can go places with the project and the product.
And I actually said that out of experience.
Yeah.
You guys are funny. All right, we're gonna go kick it back to Slido for a second.
Wow.
Um, is a product owner the same as a product manager? Clarification is needed.
We were talking about this, right? Chaitali, yeah,
We were
go for
talking.
this. Yeah, all you.
So after I did my certification, I was telling Mo one day, and I was telling him how product owner and product manager is different in theory. Um, so product manager, you're responsible for your entire product, the health and safety of your product, if I may say so. From initiation, you will decide what comes next on a very high level on the feature. Um, for your features, you develop your product backlog, and that's where your product owner comes in. Is he is responsible for your product backlog. um, you are, as a product manager, you're responsible for the feature backlog, and then comes a BA under that, that who's responsible for your sprint backlog, and also your product backlog along with your product owner, to relay with the scrum master and the dev team. This is all in theory. Depending on organization to organization, uh, PO and PM is used in, exchangeably, I guess. uh,
Interchangeably?
I don't know.
It's okay.
Didn't find a better word, but yeah, you sometimes called a PO, sometimes called a PM. I do know that product manager, or in Walmart, if I have to go by what safe or scaled agile says, product manager is really a product owner. In Walmart versus in Home Depot, I can say that a product manager is really a product manager because I'm responsible for features. But I'm also responsible, if I don't have a BA right now, which I'm hiring for. Uh, I am responsible to write the product backlog, also be responsible to get it to the dev team. So it depends on completely the organization structure. I have to call out that everyone is trying to be agile. No, nobody's 100% agile at this point. So far, the companies that I've worked with, but everybody's trying, and everybody's trying to get there and being the best that they can. So you won't have a proper Scrum team or a Kanban team, or in every organization just by the book. Uh, what you do when you're in the role makes the difference.
Awesome. Okay, so we have one more question before I drop the bomb. So, what skills do you feel are key to being a good PM? Can you name two or three? Technical, or, Excel, or
Mm.
I don't know, friendliness, barbecue? Like, what skills are good?
Most skill. Barbecue is the most skill. Um,
Oh no.
yeah. Can you repeat the question for me again?
Sure. What skills make a good product owner? Can you name two or three? Maybe from the technical side and maybe from the soft skill side.
Yeah. As in, one is knowledge of your product, or product life cycle. That's very technical, in terms of process. Uh, for me, it has worked if I stick to the process. Initiation, design, develop, test, and deploy. These are the 5 steps in SDLC, or that software development lifecycle or product development lifecycle. If you follow this is a technical, just as a baseline, I use that. It works for me. And the second one I would say is soft skills, because if you don't have the soft skills, stakeholder management is a big part of, fortunately, unfortunately, of our job. It's the bread and butter of it. So stakeholder management needs you to be able to be a good communicator. I'm not talking in terms of language, but if you can get your ideas across, to the other person, that really helps. And being, again, empathetic versus sympathetic, sort of a soft skill, not and not pushing back without reason.
Yeah, I think those are all great points. I think just to add to that, the soft skills, understanding that the a big crux of the role is just, relationship building that I've mentioned, and people management. Um, I would say a suggestion on, I don't know if it'd be kind of a skill though, but kind of like a niche. And if you want to be a successful and sought after product manager, kind of find a niche that you're good at, regardless of the industry. If you like a particular, within technology, technology is a very breadth of a vast industry, right? But there's other industries and they all have product managers, right? If you're in a role right now, in that industry, find a niche within that industry, and own that. Don't be a jack of all trades. That would be one of the suggestions that I would kind of really, really harp on, is that, don't be good at everything, just kind of sort of. That's in life too, right? You want to be really good at something, like really, really good at it, and that nobody can be as good as you at that, and then that will make you become really successful, you know in whatever it is, that path that you take. As long as you have that niche. And that's just, if you want to be a BA, you be, BA of ABC, and you become a senior BA, and then, take that path, but just specialize in something, and you'll be an effective thing at that. Could be not just a product manager.
Just a quick add over there is also be aware of um, if there is a requirement in your role for a skill set, be aware of it, I would say, and try and do some read on it, or self-certify yourself, or go and do a certification, because it's very important in this day and age, at least virtually, that you are upskilling yourself at every given level. And IT is such an industry that changes every single day with technology that's coming in. I like to read up about new technologies that are coming in, and I've promised myself that I do one certification a year, um, which I have to take. It's been 6 months, which I've not researched which one I'm going to do today. This since I might just do that today, but one, it just helps in keeping your mind fresh, your mind open, and your perspectives being a little broad.
Mhm.
Awesome, amazing. Before we go into the last two questions and then open it up to people who would like to speak verbally, I want to remind everybody: let's network, let's connect. Go ahead right now and Google your LinkedIn and catch that URL and post it in the chat so we can all keep the conversation going or help each other, connect. I'm gonna ask a question about roles closer to the end of this, so if you know your company is hiring, or if you yourself is hiring, get ready to start your self advertisement to this group. They may be available, or they may know someone who's available, and we can fill some of those roles. So I'm going to go into the question about transition, which can kind of be a little bit of a big question. So a couple of the questions through Slido and through the chat that came through is it easy to move from a scrum master to a product manager role? Another question is, I found the product management on Brain Station, which is expensive, but I'm still unsure of exactly how do I transition from a BA to a PO or a PM. So I'm throwing it out to you guys because I happen to know your personal stories. And so I wonder if you can give some insight about how did you transition? What was those roles previously before you became a PM?
You want to
Who
go?
wants to go first?
I could go then. So for me, the transition was long, and it time, as you mentioned in my little intro there, which was really absolutely fantastic, Andrea. I got to say again, thank you for that. Yeah, so transitioning, and that you can make little, you can make leaps and bounds, or you can make little hops, and that can, that's your path, whatever your path is going to be. So don't judge yourself right now if you're not a PO yet, or you're not a senior product manager yet. Your path is just different. And as you're kind of learning, myself and then Chaitali will kind of go through the details of how we became our product managers, and there are different paths, right? So for me, obviously I did my time I learned the business. I learned and I educated myself. I did do training. um that was just kind of on the last segment that we had, though. Always be bettering yourself, right? Learn about the industry that you're in, learn about the niche that you want to be specialized in. Get skills that will help you become successful. So I've done Lean Six Sigma, my PMP, my BA Bach, um, my real estate, just different things that you go, well, I tried my real estate, didn't finish that one. But you want to always be learning. And then act as if. That would be a really, really a strong kind of action that you want to take. Act as if you're a product manager. Act as if you already own that. Do the work that exudes product manager, and people will see that. And not only people will see that, you'll learn the skills that are needed to become a successful product manager, and that will help you with your transition, and that will shrink your runway, and that will help you progress.
Yeah, I sort of have a little long answer to that, because um, I sort of transitioned pretty fast as compared to someone else's timeline. And I did that by working with different organizations, different teams. I've always worked on contract. Very few times. I think it's only 2 years that I've been a full-time associate with any company. So what was my takeaway was I have worked with a lot of different teams, their working cultures, their working styles, and I sort of imbibed um, the best practices, I guess, from each one of them. Yes, I completely agree with Mo, wherein if you're a driver, you want the job done, no matter, if people around you are not getting the job done. If you are motivated enough, um, you can definitely, whatever your path is, if you're getting from a Scrum Master to a PO, or a BA to a PO, or PM, that doesn't matter. That one opportunity might, that one opportunity will come in, and you will be able to shine. Um, but there's work that needs to be done. Educate, like, educate yourself. If you need to certify yourself, certify yourself. If money is an issue, there are so many free courses, even on Udemy. If you go, the trainers are not, I don't know if the trainers are not that great, or they're new to the platform, but there's a lot of knowledge out there, on the World Wide Web, um, that you can literally see. I believe Andrea will post a few certifications. There's one I remember talking to Andrea about when I was thinking of doing my PMPO, and she gave me a better option and a cheaper option, in the sense that, if money is the issue, this is this is a good fit. Uh, but again, it was, and I while I was considering it, I just got an opportunity to do it through my company. Um, but there are, like I said, there are tons and tons of information for you to read on, and get to be a product manager or product owner.
I just want to add one piece to that is you're here today, right? Networking is a very, very important piece
Oh
to
yeah.
progressing. And we hold this forum here to allow that, to bridge, you know, um, people with different skill sets, and then to also network. And then, if someone is on here to say, actually, something just happened. Someone messaged on the group here on the chat to say that if someone hiring, if someone is or someone's not, we exchange contact, we start to grow our network. And you never know who's watching here, who's going to watch the YouTube, who sees that, hey, I know someone with the skill set here, and then you just kind of connect those two together. So be active in your networking, especially if you're on the search.
Andrea, can I give an example?
Yeah.
I was hired by Mo because I knew Mo from from a different when I was working for a different team, because we were in the same organization, and I reached out to him when my contract was up, and I knew that he was hiring. So this is just a very small, and we are on a panel today that we're talking about our own separate paths. But I reached out to him because I knew he was hiring, and he got me an interview, and then he was my manager. I worked with him for a while, and while and this is just an example. This is a very small example, but I can vouch for, if you do good networking, even with your agents. There are so many good consultancies and hiring agencies out there. If you keep in touch with that one good agent that probably needs your contact or your CV, it goes a long way. And I've seen that happen with me um, through different agencies as well.
Yeah, I just want to add maybe two things to that because part of the question also is how do you move from a Scrum Master to a PM? So Chaitali and Mo are right. Networking is really the key, whether it's internal or external to your organization. Maybe this is a piece that Chaitali doesn't know, but when Chaitali was networking with Mo, Mo then came to me and says, "Hey, Chaitali, you've worked with her on other teams. You have to let your desires be known. People that are in your corner and in your camp will never be jealous of you. And with anything, they will continue to push and encourage you to reach those goals." Because I knew Chitali wanted to get not just, a job because her contract was ended, but I knew that she would grow in that team. I knew Mo would encourage her to grow. And just as they said earlier, Mo was like, you know what? I gave you a project. And I reason I gave you that project is because I also knew your desire was to be a PM. I needed to see you acting in that role. Don't be afraid to ask. Say, you know what? I want to be able to handle something from beginning to end, and I want you to mentor me doing it. Get that practical experience. You can do the role without the title. I think sometimes people forget that they want to get the title first, but that's not necessarily the case. Stick your neck out there. What's the worst that they're going to say? They're going to say no, and then you're going to be sad for a day. You're going to drink a large latte. You're going to eat some chocolate, and then you're going to go and ask someone else to mentor you. Like if that's really your passion and what you want to do, you can't stop. Right? Let your desires be known. Ask for opportunities. Sometimes they won't give you the whole opportunity, but they'll give you more than what you had before, and that's more knowledge and another notch under your belt. So when it's time for you to advertise and say, I want to be that product manager, you can say, I've done A, B, C, D, and E. I know the business inside and out. I took the time to get to know you. Really? What are you waiting for? Your wish is here. You can come with that kind of confidence. Now, when it comes to being a scrum master to a PM, I have mixed feelings with that because I think the most awesome role in the planet is a scrum master, but I'm biased. So, what I will say is this: it's definitely possible and it's actually easier than you think. Because you're already imbibing and enacting a lot of the collaboration between teams and how to grow them, you can now take some of those lessons and skills and use them in how to grow your stakeholders in the agile way. I think the only thing that will probably hamper you is whether or not you have deep set knowledge of the product or the tool or the department or the line of business that you have, but it's not impossible. You're not a scrum master that is sitting silent. You should be a scrum master that's learning. My only hint to you is that if you truly want to become that PM or that PO, you need to learn to let go. When you become the PM and PO, you are no longer the Scrum Master. So don't be one of those POs that say, I used to do the Scrum Master role. I know what you need to do. Let the Scrum Master do what they need to do, and you be the PO and partner with that person because you were on the other side. So that's my only advice. But it's not difficult. I mean, being from a BA to a PO or a Scrum Master to a PO all boils down to passion and desire. They're exactly the same. So that's my little 2 cents.
Perfect.
Cool. So I'm not seeing any more questions in Slido or the chat, so I'm gonna open it up. I'm sorry that if I silenced you a little bit too long. There was just a lot of questions coming in, but I just want to just take this time for anyone that wants to just pick some more brains or get deeper into some of the questions that we've asked and some of the answers that you've heard. Is there anybody who want to ask any questions at all?
Yeah, let's hear a live person. That would be cool. Does everybody feel awake?
Okay, no questions, yeah?
Okay, so we can move. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I would say I have a question, and I don't know if it's going to be answered or not later.
Sure.
It's part of the idea that I joined this conversation was to exactly know what is the path right? What steps are next for me to grow into a new position, right? Because it's I have the idea, have the I'm starting to think about it, and I've been having conversations with some people. But at the end of the day, is like, what is the next step, right? Because I think mostly of what I do is very close to be a product owner. I know POS inside out. I know, okay, Mo knows me a little bit. Tali, we work together as well.
Yes, we, it's nice
So,
to hear your voice, Octavio.
Yeah.
so it's, I think that's kind of the big question.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, before you answer, Mo, I'm going to ask Octavio one question. Who knows that this is your passion?
I'm afraid that everybody, right?
So then, so I guess
I
then,
think, yeah, I think I
mm-hmm,
have voiced myself to my coaches,
mm-hmm,
to the coaches that left the company already, right?
mm-hmm,
So,
yes,
but then this train is running at such a big speed that sometimes is difficult. So it's either jump out of the train and get myself in a better station, or just try to get to take hands on the train. So
yeah,
So
that's
that's
fair. So Mo,
Yeah, I
maybe you
can.
can give some
yeah,
insight.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say something here, and this is kind of thinking outside the box a little bit. And some people may take offense to this, and some people may not, but they may be able to empathize with it. Is that sometimes the move to do is to leave because you've built a perception with your current organization, with your current team members, that you're really good at doing one thing. And a lot of the times the perception, and it's kind of a hard pill to swallow though, but I know that that's the case though, because earlier on when I gave you my intro, I was like, I moved and I shifted for a number of different organizations earlier on in my career, and I kind of shrunk my runway is because I was able to, I had the skill set, but the seat above me was already taken. But there's seats available outside the organization. You need to be able, it's scary to think that way though, but if you can act as if, which we talked about earlier, and you can do the role, but there's no chairs that are open for you to take that seat, sometimes the right move is to make the move. So don't be afraid of that though, and to limit yourself that, hey, it has to be at this organization, whatever that organization is right now. Always be open to take that jump out. If it's going to progress your career, and if you're going to cut
absolutely.
your runway 2 3 5 years, if that's ever going to happen, which you don't even know because there's no guarantees, what's stopping you from actually, you know, going on LinkedIn, going,
True. Yeah.
networking, finding an
Um,
opportunity?
yeah, and I'll answer this in two folds, and this at the cost of sounding very self-centered, because I can give you the best example I can give you is of, I know of is actually myself. So I changed. This is my third job during COVID that I changed. I left Walmart Canada for getting into a startup. I did that for 3 months, and Home Depot just walked along. Um, it was the PDM role and e-commerce. I was lucky in the sense that it came to me rather than me going to it. Saying that, but when I was within the organization, because I was always on contract, um, I did have to jump these roles. So one, networking helped. Um, Reaching out to people helped. Just letting them know that I'm going to be available to work. This is what I'm thinking. If things are not going the way you wanted to with the coach that you are with, um, there are, within the organization as well, there are different teams that require the same kind of skill set. um, Saying, even if you feel that moving out of the organization is not an option, um, yes, the wait can be frustrating. I will agree to that. I've been through that. And you will not crack it. Just take the rule that you will not crack it in the first interview, or but saying that just give your best. uh, and if it happens, it happens, because it's not only your side that you're presenting. You have the skills. The person who's wanting to employ you needs to understand your skill set, your abilities very well, um, for you to get the job. So within the organization, I believe networking does definitely help a lot, and seeking out for help. It's not uncommon to do it, I would say, but a lot of people just just shy away from doing it.
Yeah,
Re-
people are complacent. Yeah, 100%. People are complacent. But for those that are afraid, Chaitali, right? Would you suggest Chaitali is a great example? She's gotten 3 roles during COVID, and she was able to find work. For those people that are kind of hesitant and scared to say, "Oh my God, it's COVID. What am I going to do?" Don't be afraid. We have someone that's like a pure prime example right here that was able to find work, ex, you know, grow her career path in a very short period of time, which is what we're conveying to you here, right? Is like, it can happen if you have that drive and if you have the motivation and if you have.
I would tell you that when I wanted to get into a BA role, when I was, because I've immigrated from India, when I wanted to get a BA role over here, it took me about a year to get back into work. And it again happened because I knew someone who was working at Shoppers, who was working within a team, and I could, ask for his help. He recommended me, and that's how I got in. Uh, and I literally reached out to any new person who would talk to me at that point. Like, do you have a job? Do you have something for me? um at the risk of sounding very desperate sometimes, but it is something that I really wanted to do. I really wanted to work after having my kid. And networking is my biggest strength, that worked for me, for sure.
Cool. Is there are there any practical tips that you think Octavio needs to take? Like, does he need to take certain classes? Can he just read up some books online, maybe? Or
Okay, I'll give you one secret that I do, or what I did on my interviews, which, um, it was a genuine question, but also gives you some brownie points with the interviewer. At the end of that, when they ask me about if I have any questions for them, after obviously asking when they can get back, the second question I ask is, what could I have done better? What if this doesn't work out? What was the points that you didn't like about me that I should be working towards? Because I am on my road, and this is literally what I have asked, the startup people when they were interviewing me. That, what do you think? I'm on my road to becoming. I want to do this. I want to be a product manager one day. What do you think I need to do on myself or work on myself? Uh, that would be better. And take that criticism well, I would say. Take that criticism. Sometimes people can get very personal about it, but take that criticism well, work on it, and then go for the next interview.
Yeah, put your management in a position where they have to make that decision. If you're open to that criticism, you have your quarterly review, your annually review, whatever it is, however your organization kind of manages that. Take whatever the criticism is, write it down. If your organization has like a development plan or something, put that in your development plan and then meet it. And then odds are, the following year when you have your review, you have everything up and you say, okay, I did this, and then you put them in a position where they have to, make that decision. It's not, and I know a lot of you guys are probably rolling your eyes and say, yeah, I've done that, and and it hasn't worked and whatever, but you have to do your part. You can't just sit and point fingers and say, how come I'm not getting it? But you have to put the effort in.